I'm officially that bitch who bakes bread in lockdown. Love that for me.
Apparently my week so far has been cooking and cleaning, but like, I'm not mad. It's Tuesday morning and the benefit of being home is having time for home cooked meals like eggs, cheese, falafel, a mix of things that was in the cupboard, including my homemade bread, which is very exciting and tasty. And I also made up a bunch of like pasta salad stuff for lunches or dinners or whenever I end up eating them throughout the week. I wasn't necessarily planning on vlogging this week, but I'm getting really excited about my food because last week I felt so like physically awful that I didn't feel up to doing anything, and then this week it's like cook all the things, bake bread, be productive. So yes, have I done anything else? Started watching Cursed yesterday, which the new Netflix TV show, and it's weird. Like, it almost feels like a children's fantasy, but then you've got some really bloody scenes, and it reminds me of like those like 90s to early 2000s fantasy movies, and that's not necessarily a compliment. I'm still watching Supernatural, and yesterday I started reading Pet, which is interesting so far and seems to, you know, be making some comments on society. I think I'm like 50 pages into that maybe. I don't know, but that is interesting so far. And yeah, how do we feel about this angle? So there are these art challenge things that you post on social media somewhere, and you have to follow the comments you get. So basically, my friends apparently want me to draw a dorky 80s demon child. Got like small pointy horns on forehead, curly mullet, marble pink and green skin, purple eyes, androgynous non-binary, 1980s aerobics fashion, 12 years old, and a boombox needs to be involved. And so each of these comments was a different person. It was like, you know, first comment decides the horns, second comment decides the hair. So this is what I'm working with. And so I'm going to Pinterest for my inspo. I've got kind of maybe some ideas of what I'm gonna go with, but yeah, we'll see how this turns out. This is kind of what we've got. If we just like ignore this leg, it's fine. Like, it's fine. We'll just conveniently cover that. I feel like the coloring, like, I'm not loving the lines, but this isn't about having a complete piece. This is about a character design anyway. So I'm gonna have to scan it in, and I'll probably color it on the stream at some point. It's what I usually do with things like this. And that'll probably be fun because we've got lots of colors we have to work with for our bright 80s vibe. That leg's just, yeah. Let's not talk anatomy. So she's in the bag just attacking it. This is why. Are you okay? You're in my shopping bag. Yep. You're happy in there? Okay. So we gotta go get the dog now. It's a pumpkin farm too. We do like pumpkin. We are going to need a vehicle, or this is going to be a very slow journey. Gotta catch them all, exactly. She sounds pretty intense. When backyard picnicking is your only outdoor activity. I'm not sure that you're all ready to see my face this exposed, but like, we got things to do today, so multitasking. August 2nd, Sunday, which means we did not update again at all throughout the week, but
that's kind of because I had like a midnight meltdown, which didn't put me in any state for chatting about anything. And then also, I actually got 2 days of work this week. So then I was busy doing that, and it's actually it's a really weird experience to be in classrooms full of kids wearing masks. Like, it's a strange world at the moment. In terms of reading, I have actually read 4 books this week. So I finished Pet, which I've kind of mixed feelings about. Like, I think it's a good book, and it's interesting in the way it explores, I guess it kind of explores morality and what happens when you ignore anything's wrong and things like that in this kind of utopian society where monsters used to exist, and monsters being basically just people who did awful things, and then angels drove away the monsters, them being the people who gave justice to situations and things like that. But I also found that it seemed like it was written very young, and it had such kind of deep, dark topics explored in such a young style of story. It was a bit jarring at points for me. So I think I'd give it like a 3.5. But yeah, I'd still, like, I definitely don't not recommend it. I also read 2 witchcraft books, which was The Grimoire of the Kitchen Witch, which I guess kind of wasn't what I was looking for, so I didn't like that much, and also there were a couple of other reasons where I was kind of expecting something more focused, you know, on kitchen witchery, cooking, things like that, but instead it was just kind of an introduction and like a tiny bit of general information about a whole heap of topics that were all over the place, which left me feeling a bit, this isn't what I really wanted. And also, I have a big problem with books that try to insist that there's only kind of one belief, or books that kind of ignore secular witchcraft and things like that, which this book very much did do, saying witches believe such and such. It's like, well, not necessarily. But then the other thing I read was, what's it called? The House Witch, which was okay, focusing on house witchery, which is all about kind of spirituality of the home, things like that, which does kind of explore a bit of kitchen witchcraft and things like that. Yeah, they're the witchcraft books I read. And then the other thing I listened to this week was A Feminist Manifesto in 15 Suggestions. I also watched, like years ago, I watched her TED Talk, which was about why we should all be feminists. And after listening to this, I'm definitely like, I recommend like anything from her. She's kind of on the money with a lot of things. Not necessarily everything that I'm 100% like completely on board with, but for the most part, like I think she reflects a lot of the things that I feel within society. And I think the differences come from the fact that, you know, she's living in a different country, and that's obviously going to bring a bit of a different perspective. Welcome to the fact that I like don't have eyebrows and eyelashes naturally, like natural blonde life. Okay. And this is always the thing that takes me the longest. Yeah, so they're the 4 books that I've completed this week, and I have also been reading Bloody Rose. It's kind of taking me an excessive amount of time to read Bloody Rose, but I think that comes down to the fact that I haven't really been having the desire to read physically at all. Like, the things I've read, one was an audiobook and the other 3 I read digitally. And I think part of that is, like, it's so convenient to just pull out my phone. Like, I was able to do some reading, you know, when I wasn't in the classroom on the days I worked. And it's also easy to just pull up a book while we're watching TV and I don't need a light on or anything. I think I'm taking so long to read that because I have the physical copy of it. But Bloody Rose, sequel to Kings of the Wild, adult fantasy that does things a bit differently while still having a lot of the kind of classic fantasy things going on, with a good dose of humor. I'm not enjoying it, it's just, yeah, I don't know, I'm just not having that desire to pick up physical books, but I have read some of that, and I am getting close to the end, and some sad stuff has happened. Like, some sad stuff. Like, if you read Bloody Rose, some emotional things have gone on, especially for being attached to people from the first book. So I finished one fiction book, read 2 witchcraft books, listened to a feminist non-fiction type thing, which is actually like a letter to her sister, I think. And I'm still reading Bloody Rose. So in terms of reading, that is what has been going on. And yeah, I worked 2 days this week, had a bit of a meltdown in the middle of the week that left me in a do-nothing situation. I have also streamed a few times this week, both art, and I played some Far Cry 4, which was actually the first game I ever streamed on Twitch, I think. So that was a fun throwback. So that's been the week. We've actually worked in this. And then today it's August 2nd, which means for the Southern Hemisphere, it is actually Imbolc. If anyone knows anything about like the pagan and witchcraft worlds, it's meant to be a festival that kind of celebrates the start of spring, but really August is still winter. I mean, it is very sunny this weekend, but like we're having a day this week that's meant to be like a top of 8 degrees or something. So like it's still very much winter. August is winter, but all the same, gonna be making some soup, baking some bread, lighting some candles, doing some cleaning, and yeah, all that good stuff. Because we are all about the food here, really. We're all about intentional cooking. And we haven't really had any colourful makeup all week, so we're doing that today too. I don't think I really have much more to say. Like, I think my city's gonna have even more restrictions very soon because the COVID thing is getting kind of out of control and people are not doing the right thing. Like, apparently 1 in 4 people who have tested positive are not staying home, so that's great. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I'll probably just check in briefly when I've finished this so you can see what I look like when I don't look like a ghost.
We've done some cleaning, we've gotten out things ready to make bread later, keen for fresh homemade bread and soup.
These arrived a few days ago because we're not allowed to go see anyone at the moment. It was a lovely surprise though, they're so pretty.